All right, so the last thing we're going to do then, unless you guys stay here really late, is actually make a real mold. And this has been kind of in reverse order, but this is sort of the hardest and most important part. So that's, I'm going to say that's why I saved it for last. Where's all my stuff for that? Okay, so here's the box for the mold I set up earlier. All you guys are familiar with this at this point. You all seen that fancy machined aluminum knob inside there. And you can see, now that we've talked about pour spouts, now that you saw me squeeze all that plastic into the pour spouts and vents and stuff like that, you can see that in here, there's two pieces of plastic coming off of that knob. There's a pour spout and a vent. So we're going to mix up the silicone and pour it in here and actually make a mold. And as soon as we get done pouring that, we're going to trust that our part inside here is done, and we're going to open this once, take that part out, and put the silicone rubber mold in, and then I'll be done, you know, for the time being. And if you guys want to stick around and see that mold come out, see how it comes out, then be my guest, but you shouldn't feel like you have to, obviously.
Do you have to worry about the styrene like giving and like this?
You do. If you were paying extra special attention while I had that open, you probably could see that there's just some gnarly piece of 2x4 in there that raises your work off of the metal, because the metal gets really hot and the styrene totally gets snarled up. Also, you can see that this is put together with hot glue, which is also not great. But yeah, and that's the other thing, like, basically, like, and this stuff, the silicone rubber, especially the platinum cure, is just perfectly happy to be a 300 to 400 degree process, and it goes up better, actually, what it is. And your styrene is the first thing that will go in a situation like that. Okay, so one of the things about, so this is we're going to use this rubber, which is it's the same stuff that all is made out of, but it's made by a company called GT Products in Texas. That's their GT 2135 is what it's called. So, but what you should remember about it is that it's a platinum cure silicone rubber mold making compound. And this stuff is normally mixed by weight. And I actually screwed up and left my gram scale at home. But before I put this stuff in these containers, I measured them about right. So again, we're going to roll the dice and hope that this turns out. This stuff is really finicky, and it really matters. Measuring it right really, really matters. Fortunately, this compound has basically a base and a catalyst, and if you put in a little more catalyst than it should have, it doesn't hurt anything. I hurt because I usually try and mix it right. So we're going to mix this up and pour this. Normally we would weigh it, but we're going to see that. The mixing part is cosmetically very similar to what you guys have seen. You can see that this stuff looks a lot like you would imagine it. Someone who doesn't have crap on their hands gets fuzz out. Is that permafuzz? You know, I'm not even Some of you who are astute may have seen some like little eyelash or some shit get in there. That because this isn't our final part, it doesn't matter that much unless it gets alongside the part that you're trying to cast, and then it'll totally show up in every part and all that stuff. So it's not good policy to have that, but
The only person's an eyelash knob.
what's that?
Sorry, like a whole like eyelash series.
Eyelash knob.
Instead of the dice, the queen dice, the eyelash in it.
I'm actually trying to fish that eyelash out right now. It's not an eyelash, it's some sort of long. Hmong free.